Hi guys, Jason here. We're just listening to my Plexi modded Origin20. Today's clip is just a follow-up to the mod video. I had a range of questions that have come in since I posted that clip, and I thought the best way to answer those was just to do a follow-up clip and go through a couple of those basic things. Okay, so first thing, let's have a look at the parts list, right? So on my website here, headfirst.amplification.com, you'll see we've got mods, service and repair. Just click over here and you'll see on this page of the site, this is kind of where all of these mods that I've done over the last couple of years, they're all posted on here, right, as you know, to the extent possible. And I've included a new section on here, right? So this is the Plexi mod April 22 parts list download. Let's open it up. Okay, now I'll zoom in here a bit, and you should have no trouble finding these things, right? So these are all the parts here. Describe them. I've got the values, and most of these you can get from Mouser. Okay, the pots, I've listed amplified parts here just because, you know, well-known supplier in the States, but depending on where you are in the world, you should be able to find these alpha pots from a local supplier, right? So if you're in the UK, you could try Modulus, for example. You know, if you're in Europe, have a look at Tubetown or whatever, right? You'll find a local supply for this stuff, no problem. All right, so let's go to some questions about the mod itself. First one is, will it work on an Origin50? The answer is yes, and it's actually easier. One thing to know on these Origin amps, the difference between the Origin20 and the 50, there's a few differences. Obviously, in the Origin20 it's the cathode bias power section, and in the Origin50 it's fixed bias. But interestingly, the pots here, right? So in the Origin20 I had to replace the gain pot and I replaced the tilt pot, and the reason I did that is because I needed to make these 1 meg, each of these to be 1 meg, right, to make it the same as a standard Plexi circuit. And in the Origin20, these stock pots are 100k, right? 100k and 100k. Interestingly, in the Origin50, they are 1 meg stock, right? So it's a 1 meg pot here and a 1 meg pot here. So you could reuse them if you were doing the mod to your Origin50. Now you'd need to get access to obviously these switches here if you wanted to configure it the same way that I have, where I can configure the jumping of the channels. But nonetheless, you could get access to the gain pot by using the header here, because the gain pot here. You get access to the input to the pot as well as the wiper, and maybe you could pull out of the PCB this 1 meg pot here and maybe flip it around 180 degrees and solder directly to the top of it. But yeah, so it's interesting. The Origin50 has 1 meg pots here already. Right? Second thing, this plate resistor here, this is R55. I failed to mention this on the previous video. This is 220k, the one I'm pointing to, in the stock amp, in the stock Origin. You want to pull that 220 out and you want to put a 100k resistor here. It's a 1 watt carbon film resistor. Okay, so you want that. Get rid of the 220, put the 100 in. And lastly, you need to make sure that your tone stack, the EQ controls here, have a ground reference, right? And you can check that with your meter on the mid pot, right? Put one probe on the chassis, and with the other probe, touch the leg on the pot on this side, all right, the right hand side of the mid pot. And if you've got continuity there, then your tone stack is grounded. I realized after I shot this video that I needed to connect my a ground point to here, because I'd lifted all these headers off. The tone stack no longer had a ground reference, and the way that I achieved that was this guy here, which runs off the 100k cathode resistor. which is part of the mod. This black wire here, that's your ground, right? So strip the plastic off the, or PVC off the wire here, and solder that onto the ground point right there. All right, and that'll give you a ground reference on to your EQ. And here's a close-up of that. All right, so this is a 100k resistor. You can see I ran a wire here to jump this across. That gives you the ground reference that you need on that 100k cathode resistor. This is all detailed in the original JCM 800 style headfirst mod, which was retained. Right, this 100k cathode resistor is just used in the same way for the Plexi mod, but you can see that black wire. I've soldered it on to the bottom of that 100k, and that's the ground reference that you need to have your EQ or tone stack working correctly.